it's definitely water, but I was hoping it was Kool-Aid.
Jim Jones was very much in many ways the first influencer, wasn't he?
First of all, I slept for a full night for the first time in 3 weeks last night.
You look very fresh.
Oh, it was an absolute warm mouth on my soul's penis, I will tell you.
But are you somebody, you sort of person that takes a long time to get to sleep, or is it a quick time to get to sleep?
Oh, I have sleep problems like you wouldn't believe. I would believe them.
You seem the type.
I do seem the type. The problem is that they're not even. I worked as a morning radio producer and a writer in 2009. And I would go to work at 1 a.m. and then write through the night and produce the show, and then go to bed at about 11 a.m. and sometimes get up at 3 p.m. and teach improv to high school students. And what that did was that destroyed my circadian, whatever the fuck it's called, rhythm.
It's called the circadian rhythm, yeah.
Pretty much a regular, like destroyed it for 10 years. So I just didn't sleep forever. Or it would be like, just as I'm about to fall asleep, then it's like, where did you put your science textbook in grade 9? Oh, you're up for 4 hours thinking about Brent Meadows or whatever the fuck. Do you know what I mean?
Do you not fall asleep to a podcast? Does that not ameliorate some of these problems?
I will try. But sometimes it's like dealing with the Borg not being able to sleep, and then it adapts. So then suddenly that becomes a thing keeping you awake. So you have to move on to something else, and it's an absolute night. It's also made double worse and this is true of all of the partners I've ever shared a bed with, is then they'll move in some way, and I'm not a psychopath, so I won't be like, well, now I'm awake because I heard that, but I am. So then I just have to figure out a balance when sharing a bed with someone.
Yes, I used to have my laptop open with the West Wing on, and then I would turn the brightness on the screen down to 0, and then just have Joey Lucas flirting with Josh again.
Oh, wonderful. I fucking love the West. The West Wing, by the way, Star Wars is more realistic than the West Wing in most respects. And I love the fantasy of it. I love that, yeah, he's a moral Christian American with liberal views who would stand up to the religious right as the president. Yeah, sure, let's all believe that.
But that's the point of it. I would always say to people, I don't watch Game of Thrones because I don't like unrealistic programs. And then they go, well, you like Mad Men? And I go, yeah, to be fair, all they do is drink whiskey and nobody ever goes soft during sex. Like, all they do is smoke and drink whiskey and nobody ever has erectile dysfunction. A dinosaur laying eggs and then, some blonde woman falling in love with her captor. And it's Jason. Anyway, I've never seen Game of Thrones.
You know what? You almost convinced us that you had.
Did I? Thank you for speaking on behalf of the audience.
No. Nick Cave and a copy of the book, The Infinite Jest, or a copy of the book, The Brothers Sisters, were an absolute indication that a woman I would be attracted to a woman from the years, I'd say, about 2009 to 2015. If you were in possession of a Nick Cave-related poster or album or either one of those books, we were having penetrative love.
I guess so. I think Nick Cave is one of the bizarre things for me about growing up is that if somebody had told me when I was 18 years old that by the time I was 33, I would have grown out of Nick Cave, but I'd still really like the darkness. That wouldn't have been the way around I would have thought it would have gone.
100%.
But that is the right way.
Yeah. It's in the same way that I like Tom Waits' music, but now I'm like, he's not really an artist. He's just a guy that has gotten a good enough foothold that he can kind of be like, oh, it's a chainsaw art. And enough people are like, very good, Tom. But really, the best music is behind us from old Waits, man.
Is that true? I mean, it probably is true nowadays, but I can't really recall any music that he would have done recently. I think Mule Variations in 1995 is one of his best albums.
Wonderful. Oh, wonderful. I mean, and by that I mean I'm counting it. Bad as Me, which is probably about now 8 years old, is phenomenal, and I think
Yes.
that's very good.
And then when it got to Orphans, Ballers, and Bastards, or whatever it
See,
was called, and there
that is
was 3 CDs and
yeah, that
20
was
songs on each, and I went, "That's too many songs. You
no,
might,
Tom.
why not just take the 11 best ones
Yeah,
and put it on an album?"
because sometimes, and we've learned this because we all have a friend who's a stand-up comedian who's in a 90-minute show as opposed to an hour show, which is you reach a certain point where you go, someone should tell you no.
I'll just open by myself. I don't need a support act. But
No,
I
you do.
would open for myself. I would open for myself. I would
I
just
would
do
open.
I would crowd work for 20 minutes, and then I would do my show.
Yeah, I would do crowd work for 20 minutes, but then the illusion of how I've worked crowd work seamlessly into the old hour would be absolutely shattered.
Oh, I found it helped because they were used to talking to you, and they went, that's sort of what the show is. And then people like that on a tour, in broadly speaking, unless you're in York. No, sorry, unless I'm in York.
I've never actually done. That's one of my Huggy Boosky post COVID goals. Is I would like to, in the next decade, tour the United Kingdom upon the steam of my own name, or perhaps on the steam of this own podcast.
I
Alfie,
must just say that York is actually, it was the first place name that came into my brain. And I must just say, for reality's sake, that York is a brilliant place to play.
it is.
And that Cambridge is a pig pen full of joyless nothing people. Okay?
I've never, again, yes, no, I've only enjoyed one gig I ever did in Cambridge. It was partly it was because I had almost been booted from the United Kingdom the day before, so I was actually so relieved to be in the UK that the piss smell that emanates from all occupants of the Cambridge area was to me perfume that day. But most other times I go, this wet shit. Get it. Stop. Be Oxford or be nothing, you weird suburb.
Oxford, yes. Oxford is Oxford better? I can't really recall having played Oxford in my
I have
on
I
my
have
toe.
I had some of the best sex of my life in the city of Oxford, so it has an extra special place in my heart. Also, the architecture is lovely. Also, more than one good place to get good coffee, always very nice. And it's also 2 good independent bookshops, and also you can watch rowing, which I quietly enjoy as an occupation if you get an early train.
Okay, I'm sold.
Even more exciting is all of you, for some reason, ended up in Los Angeles, and we can go to the Rainbow Bar and Grill, which you would think, by the way, would be shit and a tourist place. But because LA is so transitory in terms of trends, it's actually the best rock bar in the world. Because also, here's what it also is: an Italian restaurant. So you're hammered drunk and thinking, yes, I would like some pasta now, immediately.
Yeah, that's really good. When this is what was so great about St. Petersburg. In many ways, the opposite of LA. But I suppose it
Yes.
did have this. Everything is so incredibly post-Soviet, very much by definition, and also cheap. And this is what like a lot of the cities in the UK have going for them, is that because these places get no central government funding, like in London, it's shit because the only person who can afford to buy that empty shop is Pret. So it's a Pret again. Everywhere's a Pret or a Starbucks or a Ryman's or a Pret again or a WH Smith. It's shit. Whereas if you go to, Newcastle, you've got that lovely little arts theatre called the Alphabet thing or whatever it is. You go to Liverpool, there are all these new comedy clubs like that are owned by independently, and that's what's good about St. Petersburg, is that they basically they opened a bar, and then these Neapolitans moved in and said, "Hey, your bar doesn't serve any food, and we're Neapolitans, and we can make pizza." And they go, "Okay, well then, a florist has just moved out of that little room. Why don't you smash a hole through the wall and serve pizza through that hole?" Okay, we'll do that. And then there was a big like a factory outlet thing. They all cleared their clothes out. We love comedy. We could build a purpose-built comedy club in that room, and now it's a bar / Neapolitan pizzeria / purpose-built comedy club in St. Petersburg, and it is the place to be.
Why aren't we going and each doing a lovely set in St. Petersburg and then yelling Vitrovia and drinking lots of vodka and laughing in the street?
I don't know. It was a great night out. The lovely
Who did you?
promoter took me to a cocktail bar afterwards, where they serve all the cocktails in test tubes with dry ice, and they're all smoking and fluorescent. It's a tiny bit disgusting, but fun novelty.
Here's the problem with me touring Europe is I've quit smoking now for 4 or 5 months, and I know the first tour of Europe non-smoking will be quite difficult because you can not smoke in North America. That's very easy. You get to Europe and there's a doctor smoking next to an incubator, and you go, well, he's doing it. Why am I not?
Do you not have the capacity to smoke and then not smoke?
No.
That's not in your skill range, no?
My only true addiction is nicotine. I could stop everything else, but it's all or nothing.
Addictions, an interesting topic. I've never ever had that, and I only ever smoke when I'm drinking. And I've already planned. I said to Jesse today, by the way, I came down from just being inside all day and said, by the way, I'm going to get drunk soon, and we all need to prepare. we all need to get some supplies in and just do. We just need to prepare for the fact that I'm going to be drunk soon, and that means I'm going to buy a 20-pack of cigarettes and I'm going to smoke them all, and then I'm not going to smoke again for God knows how long. I haven't smoked since. In fact, I can tell you the last day I smoked. It was December the 15th, 2020.
And the problem is, I actually enjoy not smoking. My skin is so much better.
You look fabulous.
It's weird. It's also I feel much better. I have much less anxiety. I can breathe. I didn't realize for the last 2 years I was getting much less oxygen. That was a real issue. But as it turns out, that's an issue.
Yes, it is an issue. So coffee? What do we? Let's create a rung of addiction. Coffee. You're very good with not boozing, and you found it very easy not to booze compared to a lot of other people. Brackets me, close brackets.
Yeah, booze is fine. Weed, I'm back having a little love affair with currently. I'm enjoying 2 hits out of the window at around 9 o'clock, and then just flying. Woo! Having a wonderful time.
And does that not work in the same way as listening to a podcast whilst you're falling asleep? Do you not need the next night to have 3 and the next night to have 4 and 5 and 6 and so on?
No, because it's one of those ones where I'm going, I have too many friends that are really annoying dum-dums on weed. And I'm very good at going, no, that's too much fun for that. Yeah. What was that? 420?
Yeah.
What was that?
Did that in hand sign, sorry.
What's that weird British game show where you always do the like 3 to...
I don't know.
5, 1, 2 or whatever. Anyway, so that coffee I can, but I don't need the caffeine, and I proved that by I went on a full cleanse and just switched to decaffeinated coffee for a long time, and it's fine. Didn't notice it at all.
Really, not even withdrawal symptoms.
No, but I quit smoking and was doing a full juice cleanse at the same time, so my body was in like full revolt for about 12 hours.
When I quit caffeine, it felt like I stored up so much shit that it felt like my spine was a turd, and I couldn't sit down properly. I was constantly sort of crunching on my seat. My lower back pain and aches and pains in my leg.
Really?
I mean, quitting caffeine, like really, really.
Are you back on caffeine, or are you gone from it?
Yes, but what I realized about caffeine, and I apologize if in this comedy podcast the listener is bombarded with some excellent information, but here it comes.
Aren't we lucky to be smacked by the cock of truth?
Caffeine it doesn't last for 6 hours. What it does is it divides its strength, and the amount of caffeine within you divides by half every 6 hours. So after you have 30 milligrams of coffee, after 6 hours it goes to 15, another 6 hours 7.5, another 6 hours 3.75, and I'll let you go from there. So I've stopped drinking coffee after midday and limited myself to 1 or 2, because I was having 4 up until 3, and it was just a nightmare in the sleep department.
No, not a problem. Although I have noticed now, like a time was I could literally have coffee and then go to sleep like an hour or 2 later when I was super bad with sleep. I would just be like, oh, I'd be fine. I was so fucked anyway. And recently I finally noticed, like, oh, you have a Diet Coke. Well, there's a reason why you can't sleep, is because you've had caffeine, you fuck.
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Like, what's in your... I hope something absolutely ludicrous is in that. Like, just
what do you think might be in it?
It's definitely water, but I was hoping it was Kool-Aid.
Jim Jones was very much in many ways the first influencer, wasn't he?
That's the weird thing is for you, Kool-Aid would be only known as from Jim Jones's. For me, it is the delicious treat. It's the delicious
Oh
fruit punch.
yes, of course. Yeah. No, I didn't actually really strike me that it is something other than something you would use to murder your followers in
Yeah.
the arrogantly named Jonestown.
Yeah. You know what? They really should have seen him coming as a prick the minute they were like, should we call it People's Town because we're the People's Church? No, I think it's Jonestown. Oh. Mental note: do not, sir, don't drink any cocktails this small sunglass wearing fuck offers me.
Yeah, no, I know I know very little about it. Oh, and Kool-Aid generally, just that they how many people died?
I think it's like a metric fuck ton, like a few hundred.
Yeah, it's like loads of people, isn't it? It's more like, people than you. To the extent that you find what he did, well, that's quite. You must have had some like a decent wherewithal, like a smart guy, and also committed and a hard worker. He had a lot of traits that we look for in business.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a fascinating character in that some of his sons survived because he had this giant family. He was basically this crazy drug addict, and it was just his world was narrowing because a congressman had discovered what was actually going on with it. Because
did he survive?
Jim Jones? No, he was. I believe he was shot with an arrow or shot.
Also, wasn't it in? It was like in Guyana or something.
It's in Guyana. Yeah.
Okay.
It's in Ghana, which is a thing which is always interesting because Canada has a relatively large Guyanese immigrant population, and they all sort of had like parents or grandparents that remember it because that was a big fucking deal for their country. Because one day the U.S. Army arrived and went, "Well, what the fuck is this?" And there was a bunch of conspiracy theories because they may have been communist because we can't seem to get over the fact that a different ideology to capitalism exists. And so America must fear it in every fucking way. And if one more person says socialism is bad, I'm going to choke them out with a sign that says the military is socialist, you eagle fucks.
I think anybody that says any ideology is good or bad is not speaking with the fullest sense. I would also say that all of these people that go, communism's just never been. Communism's great. It's just never been done right. So, well, maybe why? I think we're probably closer to a version of doing capitalism right, aren't we?
Yes,
so why don't we stick with that and just do it because they're wrong bits, isn't it? But let's do it anyway.
I completely agree with you. Also, it's just one of those things where we just need to limit capitalism and we'll be fine. Also, maybe just the rich pay their fair share. Remember when America was prosperous and the super rich were taxed at highest 91%?
I disagree. I think eco-capitalism and green capitalism is the way forward. We incentivize and we build our structures on the Gordon Greco foundation that greed is good.
Oh.
But it's the government's responsibility to utilize greed in the right way. So if you say that you can have tax breaks for green companies and make them big fucking things, like it's the government can organize things in a way that makes it incentivizes companies properly to be more egalitarian and fair and green.
Yes, very good. The problem with that is actually defining what it is to be green and not make it just tax credits, but actually going, you need to be in like actually developing green technology. You actually have to be working towards a green movement. You have to be, it's not carbon credits or some sort of nebulous system, because then they just go, well, I bought all these carbon credits, so I get this tax break, but actually I'm BP oil, so ha 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 ha, which is something actually old fucking Jolton Joe Biden is slowly moving toward, actually quite quickly moving towards. And something that no one talks about is he's the first president ever to, in the run-up, said we will be ending America's dependence on oil, and he said that on a debate stage and still won. And the simple and the simple and amazing fact is that he won, and no one has tried to kill him. And the fact that Donald Trump was such a bad president that someone was actually able to beat him with that being something that came out of their mouth is truly a shocking turn of affairs.
Very nice. Okay, thank you.
No problem. I also just enjoy living in America where Trump is no longer the president, and yet Brexit still very much a thing in England. I enjoy that every day, for I have yet to forgive England for Brexit, and I've somewhat forgiven America for Trump.
I think there was a certain degree of smugness with regards to like in the world, aiming uh, America and their
Yes.
bad choice. And what always struck me whenever any of my friends, you or my friend Henry in Nashville, would say, "Oh, it's very depressing." Well, there's a chance. There's a
Yes.
clean slate. I mean, a lot of the problem in American politics is the way that that works, but it does mean that you have a chance to get it in the bin in November 2020.
Yeah, and I always
And
actually thought that that's what was going to happen, and I spent a long time arguing with people going, "No, no, he's gonna win again." And I'm going, "Well, he barely won the last time." And also, you don't think that every force imaginable is trying to stop him from winning because he's going to be bad for the country, and in the end, America is just a giant capitalist monster, and he will start costing them money, and he is starting to cost them money, so now they're all turning on his fucking ass.
yes, I remember in the reading that the Biden campaign were having some trouble deciding how to spend their money. Like we've
Yes.
got too much campaign money, and we
Yes.
don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, one of the Koch brothers stopped backing Donald Trump. Again, I like Joe Biden, but I have to be careful. I like him in the same way that, I like McDonald's. I don't want to ask too many questions because then I'm going to have to stop liking it very quickly.
I think there are going to be some compromises that he'll make that aren't going to be to the liking of everybody, but he's going to be a great uniter of the Senate, which won't make Twitter very happy, but it will make effective politics happen.
Certainly. Do you remember when we took your two eldest children to Pizza Hut?
Yes.
It was wonderful. Go ahead.
In Edinburgh, the city of Edinburgh, and living mainly as I do in the realm of veganity, I would walk to my show every day, and enter my nostrils would be the whiff of a deep pan pizza, and fucking college dropping out. I needed I needed it. So I decided to take my children to what I told them was an ice cream factory, and it wasn't a lie.
They,
It
they
was
did.
just
They did also get ice cream.
and from an ice cream factory.
Yeah.
But I couldn't, and I don't think you've ever. There was a level to which I saw some of my own parenting in you. Usually, when you have a friend with you and your friend is with your kids, that friend will make some effort to hide their reservations about your children. But you, being an honest and forthright
Well,
gentleman,
there's another factor to this, which
they
was
wouldn't eat their pizza, and they
no, no,
didn't
no,
like pizza.
no. But we were also both brutally hungover.
Oh yeah, what had happened the night before?
It was the end of Edinburgh, and you and I had gone on an absolute gentleman's tear. That's my main memory is that because this plan was hatched over because I was literally walking by the Abattoir Artist Bar, and you were having a lovely cider with Adam Big Boy Brace.
Yep.
And I had been a very good boy all festival, and all I had to do was host Late and Live, which for the last Late and Live, I'm known for getting absolutely batty smashed anyway. So I decided, well, I think this calls for 10 million beers, and we had so many beers, and then I went and then we went to the Monkey Barrel the Monkey Barrel staff drinks.
Yes.
Yeah. And we smoked so many cigarettes.
Oh, I spent quite a lot of money buying drinks for the Monkey
As
Barrel
did
stuff.
I bought everyone a shot of whiskey.
Yes, I think I bought a couple of bottles of champagne.
Yes, you did. Yeah. You said, I'm going to buy everyone a bottle of champagne. And I said, why? And you went, I don't know.
I think I'd just done like a Best of the Fest gig and had like £200 in cash. And because it comes in an envelope and it's in cash, it isn't real money.
Of course.
And it would be my life would be the same if I spent it than if I didn't spend it. And I always,
But then
what a statement purchase.
We had made a plan, which was the next day we would take your kids to Pizza Hut for the lunchtime buffet. So I woke up still fully clothed in my bed Also, because I don't live in the UK anymore, I stay an extra week in Edinburgh, and then I was going to Glasgow to do gigs. But my flat at this point was empty, and there's nothing worse coming out of a blackout, pretty sure you remember everything, but you're just alone and you don't have someone to be like, "Whoa, what happened last night?" Like you just have to. The thoughts just kind of go like, "What did it? Um,
Yes, I mean I don't have that too often anymore, but
yeah, because I assume your children can explain to you. Well, Daddy,
yes, I'm sure I was good company.
well, this is the other thing is I need to not worry when I black out. I am a very fun drunk person. If anything, when inebriated, according to most, I am a far bigger hoot than when I am sober.
I think you do very, very well sober to communicate with the inebriated around you. I think you carry yourself very well. You engage in the right level of fun, but you don't put it on. You aren't impatient with anybody for being drunk, which I think I would be, or I would just leave. You can hang out when you're sober. It's a good quality. And also when you're drunk, I mean, when you're drunk, I've been drunk. I haven't really registered it. I haven't, you know.
I mean, there have been times where we've both been very drunk next to each other, sharing secrets, which, if we were to really ever do that episode, it would then end with our mutual suicide.
Can you remember the secrets?
I remember one of them.
Oh, dear. Okay. I'll speak to you in 23 minutes.
I guarantee by the end of the 23 minutes, you will have remembered the secret.
I guarantee I won't. It's not even close. It isn't even, I can't even see its shapes through the curtain.
I just remember it because you were in one of your struggles with sobriety that Melbourne Comedy Festival, and we'd just go for lovely walks. We were essentially just doing what two people do when they fall in love in Europe, but we were doing it in Australia, but masturbating in our own individual rooms. And then that last weekend, it really did just hit the old Fanarooski.
It didn't rain, but it threw up nightly.
It certainly did. Anyway, so we were
one of those nights because me and you and Carl had gone out to the health shop in Brunswick, and I had gotten charcoal.
We all got
taking charcoal. That night, I came back after boozing all night, and then forgotten that I'd had the charcoal, and like a dragon, hammered black sick into the bowl of the toilet, and then had a little breakdown about the fact that I was obviously dying.
That was the.
I thought I'd eaten an ashtray or a cigarette or something. It was terrifying.
Because I did an activated charcoal. I got a big bag and did a big cleanse with cayenne pepper and stuff like that, and it was wonderful. It does remove your bloat. What it also does is turn your back and front into absolute weapons of mass destruction.
I think the charcoal's a con, isn't it?
I think it's up there. It's what it does is it does remove some toxins, but it's also
also removes all the good stuff as well.
Yes, it does. It's one of those things where it's not that great.
It just strips your inside of all of its qualities.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Clean slate.
So we head off to pizza, and I am brutally hungover, and I'm just I'm getting that Pizza Hut lunch buffet, and your kids just didn't like pizza, which I found so fucking funny. And also there was this interesting dynamic where clearly you wanted them to eat pizza because you knew that your children, you actually will like pizza, you morons, but they are children and have the beautiful, the dynamic I loved, which was your son immediately had just convinced his sister, neither one of us like pizza, like a well-orchestrated head of a union. He was Jimmy Hoffa and she was the Teamsters, and you, my friend, you and I were the Kennedy brothers at a Senate hearing, and there was nothing to be done.
Yeah, really frustrating. Also because, I could be one of those nominally vegan parents that, got to go to Pizza Hut because the kids like it. Well, I'll have a slice. I suppose it's okay if the kids are having some. And that was my whole route.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. So part of it for you was they essentially,
if they start liking Pizza Hut and nagging Jesse to go to Pizza Hut, then I get to go to Pizza Hut and then go, oh, well, they've ordered it. They're not finishing it. I guess I'll just have some Pizza Hut. And the fact that they wouldn't play with that has it just stymied my best laid plans.
The other thing that your son did, which was such a alpha move, which was the waiter came over and you're like, they'll have some pizza, and he went, I want chicken. Do you have chicken? And I was like, this kid is going to be a leader of men right here. You're in a place called Pizza Hut, surrounded by pizza, ordering chicken. You, sir, are going to be just fine in the world. You will not be convinced by marketing.
He seems to just not be phased by anything. Like he's just gotten into Green Day.
All right,
and we've got a trampoline, like a little like exercise trampoline that old people use to work on their bone density, and he bounces on it and listens to Green Day and sort of does all air guitar and whatnot.
Oh,
and
that's so much fun.
It is good. But one of the Green Day songs, which I think is Jesus of Suburbia, features some very abusive behavior towards women and graphic self-harm. And he's just like bouncing away. And then there's cutaways, because the Green Day videos always take about 10 minutes of like full of Jamie Bell and Evan Rachel Wood like going, why are you going to war? I love war. I thought you'd love war too. I can't believe it. That's Wake Me Up When September Ends. This one, Jesus of Suburbia, is a guy who's abusive to his girlfriend who looks like a young Billy Joel bollocks. And
why don't you
just
play him
slicing himself? Awful business.
Play him the song and not the music video. Also, why did it take me to have to figure that out?
Well, because all of the music videos are quite fun, like Boulevard of Broken Dreams or whatever it's called, and Brain Sick and Nookie and all of the fun songs, fun videos. They're in an insane asylum. It's all great fun.
It's brain stew. It's brain stew. You absolute pig.
I never liked Green Day, and I liked Sham 69 and Stiff Little Fingers and The Descendants.
Good. Yes. Isn't it so wonderful to have a white shiny horse and walk around, never having shit that smells like roses?
I didn't like those bands. I liked Feeder, as I said the other day, which are Wales' answer to Green Day.
No one was asking.
Anyway, yeah, it's a good point. I was away making his potato waffles and fish fingers, and Daddy, he just cut his hand open and his arm with a razor blade. And I went, oh, okay. Well, this is what Don Henley was singing about when he said the end of the innocence, I suppose.
Where is their mother in this moment where you're just accidentally exposing your 6-year-old to the self-harm of an abuser?
My common law wife was upstairs with our youngest and our middle child doing some laundry, I'm led to believe, whilst I did the children's dinner.
Fish fingers and potato pancakes?
Potato waffles.
Oh, what a wonderful, delicious dinner.
Yeah, a couple of bits of broccoli just as a sort of, the little trade-off.
Yeah, very smart.
And then yogurt lollies, which is a real treat.
I had a
strawberry yogurt lollies.
Oh my god, I had a Greek yogurt lolly but yesterday.
Caffeine free. You're going to hate this. Caffeine free. Diet. Pepsi.
Absolutely go fuck yourself. No. That's
people who get emotionally invested in whether or not people prefer Coke or Pepsi.
No, it's nothing to do with the Coke or Pepsi thing. It is nothing to do with the Coke or Pepsi. Please have a great. It is the like you're just. I would just like to drink shit. It's just have soda water.
But it doesn't taste of Pepsi.
I know, but I've
what doesn't I don't want the caffeine and I don't want the sugar, but I do like the taste of Pepsi. This is the perfect drink. What is there to get irate about that? It makes perfect. I don't want
unhealthy.
Caffeine. Sorry,
but it's so unhealthy. You're just getting all the chemical-y boys.
Yeah, but first of all, the jury's out on that, and second of all,
wait a minute, no, don't just say the jury's out on it. Is the jury actually out?
Yeah. The jury's not in.
The jury's in the hallway. The jury is marching towards the courtroom. The jury is seconds away from.
Okay, well, I mean, this is going to have to be a part of the show that we call John and Alfie do the science, and
always exciting when two men who I would best describe as not scientists.
That would be the best in this context. That is the best description.
Yes,
When we are having a scientific conversation, always worth reminding people that we are not scientists, which is actually a lot less tense than when we had to remind everyone the other day that we weren't sociologists specializing in racial theory.
What I like is we probably won't release that for some time, but it's like discussing. But I like that we reference it because it was the perfect coalition of what this program is supposed to be, which is
I see you for some time, and I raise you ever.
Yes, well, yeah, for some time could be quite broad. Now,
okay, let's look into the damaging effects of aspartame, shall we?
Yes, please. Also, tell me what aspartame is.
Aspartame is the
aspartame. Aspartame. It's called aspartame.
Okay, you fucking Yankee loser.
Pardon me, you absolute limey jizzbag. I'm sorry.
Aspartame. Aspartame.
I don't like when you say it. Aspartame?
Aspartame.
It's aspartame.
I'm not. I don't know that it is. I mean, actually, it's not something I've had too many conversations about out loud. To be honest with you,
part of me really hopes that it is aspartame, but I know it's aspartame.
Why? Why do you know that?
Because I've spoken to many doctors.
Why? Oh, it should have the little horn next to the word that lets you hear the
that's exactly what I was going to say. Why it won't let us have the little? It doesn't have the little horn.
No.
Oh, Google, you absolute slut!
And let's pronunciation. Oh, aspartame.
So I'm more right than you are. It's aspartame.
It's aspartame.
it's certainly not what you.
Sir, I'll have a carafe of the aspartame, please.
What were you calling it before?
Aspartame.
Indeed. Now let's talk about this. How do you feel about white chocolate?
I really like it. Of course, I don't have, but I can't eat as much of it.
Yes, I agree.
I enjoy the taste, and it is indulgent. Perhaps white chocolate in combination with things I probably prefer, and other chocolate I would have just on its own for its own pleasure, possibly flavored. But in terms of the white chocolate phenomena, perhaps with a dark chocolate cheesecake or something like that, or white chocolate with fruit, or white chocolate with something that can cut through the incredibly buttery sweetness, I would say is a good thing. Although I haven't had white chocolate for some years.
I get very upset more and more as I get older when people are like, oh, white chocolate is disgusting, dark chocolate is disgusting. Where I go, first of all, you fuck. It's all chocolate. It's starting at an excellent point already.
Okay.
It's all great. And now it's just a matter of opinion. And don't inflict your opinion upon me. It's all lovely stuff. You absolutely nailed it, by the way. White chocolate in combination is flawless.
Thank you for saying I nailed it. And do you know? Oops, hello. And do you know what else? Jesse will eat 100% dark chocolate.
Wonderful.
Like a murderer. No, I think that's I've tried, and she'll eat it as a pudding. That's not a pudding. That's a kind of a little pick me up. That's like
100% dark chocolate is not a pudding. I need a zip. I would keep 100% dark chocolate in my room in Edinburgh, because sometimes that with pineapple and a stiff black coffee will, first of all, you will shit a absolute hammer and then feel energized for about 4 hours, and you can kick the shit out of a gig.
Yeah.
On that combination, but that's not because pudding that's all like that's cake and pie. You need to have layers of different flavors, soft.
So, I'm prone to. I enjoy the ritual of having a square of chocolate after dinner, and I will often have a square of 70% dark chocolate with crystallized orange in it and little almond flakes. That's my go-to.
I like a 90% with sea salt.
I know, but I don't. If I'm going to have sea salt in it, then I want sweetness, and I don't think that the 90% is sweet enough to lend itself to the salt. Salted milk chocolate, that would be up my pipe. Thanks very much.
Up
If
your
I want to have dark chocolate, I need the sweetness in there to, like, dark chocolate with salted caramel in it. That's pretty good.
That does sound pretty good. I just want chocolate. I just always want chocolate, and it's very hard not to chocolate all of the time.
What are you going to have dinner tonight, huh?
I don't know what I'm going to have for dinner tonight.
I had a bucket of chicken.
I had a breakfast burrito. Like, I literally woke up this morning after sleeping so long and went, to keep my healing alive, I'm going to lie here. And at a certain point I went, I need breakfast burrito. And so, and here's the thing with Uber Eats. I don't care what you're ordering from Uber Eats. It will be 30 American dollars. Whatever it is, it's 30 American dollars. You could be getting one wafer. You could be getting one crepe from someone that's inside your house. It will end up being 30 American.
That's exactly what happens when I go to the pharmacy, like Boots or something. I go to buy shampoo and a toothbrush.
Of course,
and it's always £33.
Yeah, how Boots? That's another excellent point. They're the British pharmacies. Because do you also always end up buying condoms at a pharmacy?
Never. I never use condoms, as my three children will lay as in evidence to.
This is something that I've realized. It's something as a single person, because I've gone from.
I've spent more money on gold than I have on condoms.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, the United Kingdom is truly a nation of no latex protection. The amount of sexual encounters I had on that island where I went for a condom and a one-night stand went, "Excuse me," and you went, "Well, fine then."
Do you have a hood?
I certainly do.
Do you?
That's right.
Oh. I thought North Americans lopped that little puppy dog off.
Usually, but the situation I was faced was
Did you have a gorgeous one? The guy doing your bris went, "Fuck me, that's stunning. We're keeping that."
Yeah. The moil just went, "You know what? It's this. This is God's true. This is God's chosen person."
Listen, Mrs. Hastings.
Yeah.
I appreciate, you've paid the deposit, but I cannot get rid of this. This is good stuff.
It is the only time that a moil has ever gone, mwah.
Yeah, you got a good hood. Yeah. Weird.
I nearly was born dead, so they weren't going to be doing any more unnecessary procedures upon.
Right. Well, why? I mean, it's good that you're not.
Born 3 months premature, mate.
Were you? What? That's great to know.
Yeah, born in a surgery, but I was quite large, and I was given a drug that is now very much de rigueur, but I was one of the first test cases called surfactant, which kicks your lungs fucking going, because before the problem was that it was kind of 6 to 1, half a dozen of the other if the kid lived, because his lungs would stick together and then you're fucked.
Well, yes, my newest child was in neonatal care with shitty lungs for quite some time.
Yes.
Pipes up his nose and whatnot.
I had those as well. Fed through the brain.
No, and that is going to take some getting over as a sentence. So, I'm afraid.
What it was is that when you're that small and in a premature ICU, the only way they can feed you is through IVs, and the only place you have veins is in your head. So every 3 hours, the nurse has to move a vein to another vein for the baby's head to keep them nourished.
Do you find this emotionally affecting, knowing this about yourself, or is it just one of the kind of quirks of your existence and you don't really think too much about it? Do you think it kind of affects who you are?
I have a visceral fear, and like of hospital smell and needles. And it took me a while. We're going, where's that from? And then my mom told me that little factoid, and I went, well, I think I know where that fucking comes from, don't I?
Yes. Okay. Wow.
Have you ever dealt with Scientologists?
Right. So we got our tickets for the new X-Man film, and we had some time to kill. So we basically went into the Scientologist church and the first one to laugh loses, basically.
Britain or Los Angeles?
Sydney. Yeah, Sydney.
Who are you
or
with?
Melbourne. It was just after it was when I was traveling the world as an 18-year-old.
I didn't know about any of this time in your life.
Me and my friend Lorenzo, we toured the world.
How open was your shirt?
A very respectable, cool, smart young man with short hair and a pretty face.
How many different hostels did you get jerked off in?
I actually, on my travels, started in Australia as a sort of 6.5, 7, and then via malnutrition and the hot sun, I transformed into a brown, thin thing that people were much more into the idea of. Interacting with in a sexual capacity, and I had a great time in Thailand, though. By the time we got to Thailand, I was ready for action. So yes, there were a few occasions whereby I made love to somebody, but I never got milked off, sadly.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
No, it was always full sex or no thanks, lad. You go whistle Dixie.
I've never had sex in a youth hostel, and I'm fine with it.
Yes, I think I've had sex in kind of beach yurts and things like that.
That's nice. Yes, no, I've hotels, Airbnbs, automobiles. That is it.
Plane?
Never. You?
No.
I've masturbated on a plane.
No, I've never done that.
Yeah, well, masturbated on a train.
That's okay. It. Have you ever masturbated near to John Candy?
No, but he's ever present in my thoughts. It was a Canadian train.
Was it?
That's right.
I really want to get the train. I want to get in honor of Joe Biden. I want to Amtrak my way across America.
As do I. I want to Amtrak my way across America, just stopping to just say relatively reasonable things in glasses, and then.
Can I get the train across America to LA? Is there a train station in LA?
Of course, Union Station. It is gorgeous. It's a beautiful Art Deco, lovely station. Here's what would happen: is you'd arrive there if it's post COVID time. You'd arrive there looking wonderful. I would meet you there. We would immediately take an Uber to my establishment of home, place your belongings in it, Uber back to downtown, go to one of 4 different delicious dive bars, have a lovely time, and then go on and sit on my roof and drink bourbon until we had to pass out.
I enjoy that evening.
Yes. The nice thing about drinking in downtown LA especially is because it is still quite dangerous. It is very fun to be in the bars. And also, you don't really want to smoke because you think a cigarette would be good. And then you look outside and you go, yes, but then I would have to speak to that individual. And I feel okay not doing that.
I have too much courage in that department. I think, well, I'm extremely charming. I'm sure he wouldn't be put off by little old me. Garçon.
Yeah. Pardon. Salut, une cigarette, American Spirit. So you're going into the Scientology area after you bought tickets to see the X-Men movie. You're 18. You're looking ravenous.
Yes. And my bipolar disorder has just led me to buy an impromptu flight by myself to the north of Australia and leave my friend behind. So I was feeling quite.
I thought you didn't consider bipolar disorder a thing.
Well, the depression just seems like a kind of an appropriate reaction to the surrounding world. The bipolar highs, that feels more like, oh, something did take me then.
That
wasn't.
Are you are you medicated now? Because you seem on a much more balanced, even keel than some of your stories would indicate.
No, I'm just happier and more grown up, and I've just. I'm sure if. I think I don't know the science, and neither do a lot of psychiatrists. But I feel that I have grown in just grown up and have a better sense of who I am. Or not that I have a better sense of who I am, but I'm much more comfortable with who I am. I used to really not like myself, as Brick in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof says.
Oh,
I'm ashamed of myself. That's why I drink, Big Daddy. When I drink, I can stand myself.
I do love that play. I do love Tennessee Williams. Do you?
I've got a child named after him.
You do. I like to imagine that Tennessee Williams, Gore Vidal, and JFK just fucked one afternoon.
Was Tennessee Williams? He liked to have sex with men.
I think that he was one of those sort of '60s artists where, like, you could be like, "What are you, bisexual?" and he would go, "No, I have different tastes."
Yeah. It would be sort of aloof and wouldn't define it in terms you'd understand. It's all about art and the fucking. I just wanted to ejaculate in my friend. What do you want with me?
Yeah, exactly. It was a Wednesday. That's not a day for fucking a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like some sort of odd, very kind of interesting excuse. We were having martinis. That's the perfect time to suck off Gore. So you've just bought a flight to Northern Australia for literally no reason.
The thing we essentially tried to convince each other that it would be a good idea if we worked on the marketing team of Scientology, and we started remixing all of Fat Man Scoop's songs to be about the teachings of Scientology. So there was.
Do you remember any of them? I know you do.
No, they weren't very good. We would just go up to each other and go, like, do you know, listener, I'm doing a face. He did that a lot in the camera, didn't he?
I don't remember Fat Man Scoop. So you could do anything, and I 100%
Imagine if somebody hadn't heard of Fat Man Scoop trying to explain Fat Man Scoop to them.
I'm looking up Fat Man. I'm looking up.
He wasn't a rapper or a singer, but he did have a hit single, and he was just he would do that. After we're probably going to stop recording soon because we've got our 1 hour and plus.
Yes.
Anyway, it was the man. His skin was coming off. The man who taught us about Scientology, his skin was just coming off in big pieces, to the extent that you thought, like, you never see like somebody's skin coming off, and it's coming off in such huge chunks that you think, well, the skin has done well enough to keep itself together in that chunk. Why is it leaving your face if it can stay together? Like, usually dandruff is small. It's fucking big bits of skin.
Because Scientologists aren't allowed to go to doctors because that's admitting negative and allowing a suppressive person into their life.
Okay.
So,
are you aware of an anagram?
I am.
What it is?
Which one's anagram?
An engram is something. So the examples of engram, the ones that have stayed with me, are like the negative experiences that you have in your in your life today are based in subconscious experiences that you had when you were a child. So you with your brain needles, and like there was one, and it's so convoluted, like. It's so stupid. The guy has a car accident. He's unconscious, and one of the people holding the little the tray with him on it, getting him into the ambulance, says, "Yeah, I'm just going to go for curry tonight." And then cut forward 5 years, and his girlfriend said, "Do you want to get curry?" And he goes, "Fuck you, you stupid bitch!" And he ruins his relationship because he wasn't aware of his engrams.
I mean, yes. So, I mean, I hope you're all sitting down, guys. I think Scientology is based in absolute hogwash.
Hokum.
Yes. In fact, yeah, invented by a speed freak and adopted by 2 Hollywood stars. One who is clearly very, very lacking in confidence, and the other one just a secret gay guy. And
who's the lacking in confidence guy?
Tom Cruise.
And who's the secret gay guy?
John Travolta.
Okay, could have been either way around to me.
Absolutely,
to be honest.
Absolutely. What was interesting about being being in Scientology here is that if you're just at a variety of the indie alt comedy venues that are around their international Los Angeles headquarters, you'll just see them trying to recruit people.
Does it work in the same way that you have the Masons in this country, in that like Scientologists will be the head of companies and you'll get a leg up in a company if you're a Scientologist,
No,
favors for favors and whatnot?
we just have the Masons in North America as well, and that's the same thing. Scientology is a bit of that, but they have less and less power. They're like at most they I think had their number was the most they ever had was 200,000 people. Like they only have 30 to 50,000 people worldwide.
Okay.
They're just very good at a scam, which is they're basically just giant property owners. But what was fucked for me was I was outside one of the venues, and one of them a woman walked up and went, "I've just moved to LA from North London. I find it so bewildering." And she said that out of nowhere. And I went, "Oh, that's weird. I've just moved from North London." And she went, "Oh, that's so strange. What do you find weird?" And then she was like, "I'm staying in Silver Lake in an Airbnb on this street." And I was like, "Oh, I'm staying like a block over." And then she was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Like, if you ever get nervous, like I hang out at this like cool cafe that's inside that building on L. Ron Hubbard and Sunset." And I was like, "Oh, the Scientology." And I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm not interested." And then immediately like two other guys sort of like came over and were like, "Hey, you should, I was like, "Nope, get away from me." And then just walked inside a building. But I was like, "What? How did they know where? Why did they say, like, I assume it was coincidence, but I was like, what are the odds that they nailed that?"
That's fucking grim.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very
it's
odd.
essentially, yeah, it's the joke's been made before, and it's a very kind of tired point. The fact that it's a fairly rudimentary operating system for a religion, it's just newer, so it seems weirder.
Yeah, well, the difference, what the difference between a cult and a religion is?
Nothing.
The difference between a cult and religion is that a cult is a series of beliefs that can't be proven centered around one individual, and in a religion, that person's dead. Do you believe in psychiatry? And then we'll wrap up.
I get quite confused between psychiatry, psychology, and psychoanalysis, and all of these different things. But psychiatry, with regards to the people that have the power to prescribe medication to your brain, it seems eminently unscientific, and like anything driven by it needs to succeed, so it believes in itself further. In the same way that there can be no end to. I was saying to Jesse the other day, all these parenting books that keep on coming out, they can't just say, "We've sussed out how to parent. Here's the book," and nobody ever write about it again. Because there is a market need for parenting books, so there's a market need to keep on coming up with new ways to do things. Do swaddle your kids, don't swaddle your kids. It's always changing. So I feel like in psychiatry, it's in their interests to develop and to develop a culture of need around medication for certain mental illnesses. And I think that's a problem. And I also think it's a lot easier to medicate people. And my big point on mental illness that I always make when I talk about it is we have things like Gamblers Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous to help people who are going through a certain thing. And what really helps them is a sense of community and belonging and shared experience. Now, the thing that all of these people have in common is that they're all depressed. That's why they're addicts. They're not addicts because things are going really well and they're not depressed. It's, one comes after the other. So there should be some sort of support network for depressed people, and there should be much more of a human element to the way that we address mental illness, rather than an immediate medication of it. And it also shouldn't be spoken about as so systemic, chronic. You're stuck with mental illness forever. You're not.
You're not. I completely agree on that point. I agree that there's a sense of community. I also think that there's something that you need to recognize, that there's times in your life, let's say you get divorced, and then also 3 months later, you have a horrific bike accident. You better fucking pray you're already in therapy in those moments, or you are in real fucking trouble. I got news for you. And it's one of those things where I think right now, where I am in my life, I'm a big defender of therapy and the recognizing of certain bad behaviors and adjusting them. But that's also because I'm in a giant time of flux in every fucking facet of my life.
I also don't, admonish of course, I don't admonish the use of antidepressants or anything. If you're going through a difficult time, get through it, allow them to help you out of it, and
Yeah.
then get off of it.
It's in that way of this isn't my line. I believe it's a comedian, Dana Gould, which is, those pills are just masking the underlying truth. Yes, in the same way that a coat masks me from the cold of winter. Sometimes you need assistance to get through a situation, and
Yeah.
there's no harm in it. It's just acknowledge and move forward. I'm also one of those pieces of shit that hates taking pills, so I would rather do something like talk it out and analyze and chat. Fucking be some fucking gerbil in a fucking lab.
I agree with you.
Mm.
Well, listener,
have a lovely time. I've decided on our for this episode moving forward that our sign off will be death to half pints, because I enjoyed in a recent episode you made a list and at the very bottom of it after suicide was half pint.